Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to take your completed website and host it live for free using your GitHub account. So I'm going to be working with this folder here, which contains all the files for a frog website. All right. It may not have as many files as your website should have. Your website should have at least 3 different pages, and you'll have multiple image files in there as well. This one is going to be a little bit smaller because it's just for an example. So you don't want to upload your website to GitHub until you're ready. So first things first, right now my frog website folder is actually zipped up. And in order to work with these files, of course, I'm going to have to unzip them. So I'm going to need to right click, come down and extract all the files, which is going to create a new unzipped version of the folder. All right, so it's going to go ahead and open that folder for me. If it did not open it automatically, I can see that right here is the unzipped version of the folder. So let's just take a look at what I've got in there. I actually have a folder inside of a folder, which is not a huge deal. I'm just going to go ahead and open this one. All right. And as you can see, I've got 2 HTML pages and a bunch of pictures. Your website will need to have at least 3 different HTML files, and one of those must be named index. All right, we talked about this in class, but every single website has to have an index.html. It has to start with a lowercase I. Actually, the whole word should be lowercase. If you do not have an index.html, it is not a properly formed website, and this process is not going to work. All right, so make sure that the first page that you want your users to see when your website opens is called index.html. Always and forever, no questions asked. All right, so this looks pretty good. I've definitely got something to work with here. If I open index.html, this is purely an example. Your website should look much better than this, hopefully. All right, and I do have this second page here that I can click on. And I've just got some examples of a form, and this is actually a link to my GitHub that uses an image as the link. All right, so I can go home or I can go back to my other page. You should have at least 3 pages up here. So I've looked at this, I've made sure that everything looks good to go, and I have a page called index.html. And I have all these files inside of the same folder, which is not zipped up. So here's how you actually make this website live. All right. I'm going to come into my GitHub, so you guys will need to sign into your GitHub account. And in order to do this, we have to create a new repository. So I'm going to click this green button over here to the left that says New to create a new repository. Now your repository has to have a specific name, and it must be done absolutely right or this will not work. It needs to be your GitHub username, which you can see right here. So type it in exactly like it looks. Capitalization and everything should be the same. All right. Now I'm going to put .github, all lowercase, .io. It must look exactly like this, with the first part being your GitHub username. If you'd like to put a description in here, you absolutely can. I already have one saved from earlier, so I'm just going to put a description that says an HTML website about frogs. You do need to make this a public repository. And remember that once you make this public and you post your files in your website, anyone with access to the internet can see your website. So make sure that you do not post any private information or anything like that on your website. I'm going to click this button here that says add a README file. And you absolutely want to do this so that the repository will be created with at least one file already in it. All right, we can leave everything else the same, and we're going to create this repository. Alrighty, so once the repository is created, it goes ahead and takes us right into that repository. And now what we need to do is we need to upload all the files that make up our website. And remember, you have to have unzipped the folder in order to actually get these files. So I'm going to go to Upload Files. I'm going to click Choose Your Files. And this is going to be on my desktop. So here on my desktop, I'm going to go into the unzipped version of the Frog website. And my files are in a folder, so I need to open this folder as well. And here are all of the files that make up my website. You can kind of drag here if you want to and just highlight every single one of the files. I can tell they're highlighted because they all have that blue highlight behind them. And I'm going to go ahead and open. And it's going to upload all of my files at once. Remember, there must be an index.html and it should look exactly like this. If you do not have index.html in your website, or you don't have it spelled correctly, or it's not capitalized correctly, this will not work. All right, here in the message box, I'm just going to say upload all files for website. And that's all I got to do. I'm going to commit these changes. Make sure you press the green commit button. All right, so now I can see all the files were properly uploaded into that repository. And there's one thing that I have to do to actually make this live and make it a website so it's not just a regular old repository. I need to come over here to the right. And there's this gear icon here. It's right out next to the about word. I'm going to click that gear icon. And I'm going to click this little box that says use your GitHub Pages website. All right. It's going to fill in this box here with a URL. You don't need to change anything. Just go to Save Changes. Alrighty, so if we did everything correctly, I should be able now to click this link here or paste it into a browser and see my live website. All right, so now you can see that the URL up here at the top is actually a live working URL, right? It starts with HTTPS, meaning this is a real live page on the internet. And I can double check that by maybe opening another browser. All right, so I've got a totally different browser open now, and I can copy the URL. I'll paste it into the second browser, and there's my website. And let's make sure all the links still work. So yep, that one takes me back to my GitHub. All right, I can go back to the home page, my video.
Wix, one platform.
All right, so everything seems to be working right. And since you have this now live, you can actually take your URL for your website and you can send it to your friends and family if you want to. And anyone who has access to the internet can see your website. A couple things to note about this is you can actually only have one GitHub Pages at a time for the free version. So you couldn't come in and create another repository with another website and actually make it live as well. You can only have one at a time. And you want to do this when you're done with your entire website, because say I wanted to come in here and maybe I need to make a change to index.html. Well, you actually could click here and you could come up and click edit this file, and you could edit the file directly from within GitHub if you needed to make some changes to it, and then you could just commit those changes after you've made them. But ideally you want to wait until you've got everything how you want it to be, and making it live should be the last thing that you do. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this video and you got it to work. If not, message your instructor. But one of the main things is going to be 99% of the time your problem is going to be that you don't have an index.html, or perhaps you did not name the repository properly. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it.